Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, welcome. In today's video I have another dupe of the Anastasia Beverly Hills Modern Renaissance palette here, which is one of my all-time favorite palettes, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. However, with this £43, it is on the pricier side. It's definitely a high-end eyeshadow palette and it performs absolutely beautiful. So a lot of us have decided to splurge a little bit and buy this eyeshadow palette despite the price, even if otherwise we don't buy high-end makeup, just because of the performance of this palette. However, in today's video I have the Bad Habit Royals palette here for you, which in the US retails for $10, which is more than 4 times cheaper than the Modern Renaissance palette is. This is a beautiful palette, and overall Bad Habit does really good eyeshadow palettes, or I rather say used to do, because they went out of business about a year ago. So these palettes have all been discontinued since, and the only way to pick them up at the moment is if you decide to go on eBay or Amazon or Depop and you manage to find someone who still sells them. It's not that easy anymore, and it's not on the original price. Everyone is trying to make some extra cash on this limited stock. As I said before, the Anastasia Beverly Hills Modern Renaissance palette retails for £43. It was made in the USA, except the brush that was made in the People's Republic of China, and it has a shocking 6 months shelf life, at least the palette I have. I believe it has since changed and the newer palettes have a longer shelf life now. The one I have had 6 months. I have had this palette at this point for about 18 months and I experienced no problem. So even though the recommended shelf life is 6 months, you will have no issue using it longer than that. One more thing to mention is that this palette has 0.7 gram of product in each pan, and with 14 pan that gives you 9.8 grams of product. Now in today's environment that's absolutely shocking, because per gram that basically puts it right next to Natasha Denona's eyeshadow palettes. This is a really expensive eyeshadow palette per gram. Just in comparison, in the Royals palette you get 22.4 grams of product, which is more than 2 times of what you would get in the Modern Renaissance palette, and this is actually the amount of product we would expect from an eyeshadow palette in 2020. However, the Modern Renaissance palette did come out a good couple of years ago now. Today it would be absolutely unacceptable to give you an eyeshadow palette with less than 10 grams of eyeshadow in it. The Royals palette retailed for $10 in the USA. It never officially retailed in the UK, so I can't tell you how much would that be, but probably somewhere around £7. It's made in the People's Republic of China and it is cruelty-free, just like the Modern Renaissance palette. Oh, and by the way, this one also has 12 months shelf life, which is also double of what my Modern Renaissance palette gives me. If you haven't seen it yet, which I highly doubt, this is how the Modern Renaissance palette looks like on the inside. As you can see, it's a really muted eyeshadow palette with Bordeaux, orange, purple, and just really muted warm shades. I think this is an eyeshadow palette that would suit absolutely everyone's skin tone and skin color. It is absolutely gorgeous. You have a dark shade that's not too dark. Everything blends beautifully, everything builds beautifully. You have technically only 2 shiny shades, and then you have this satiny purple shade, but it's just absolutely gorgeous. I have absolutely no complaint about this palette. Regardless of the price and the amount of product you get, it's still one of my favorite eyeshadow palettes. As you can see, the Royals palette is very similar. The pans are a lot larger than they are in the Anastasia palette. Overall, the palette is smaller though because of the brush missing, which I don't think anyone minds, honestly. The shades are exactly the same. They are in a slightly different order, but overall they are still going from the lightest to the darkest. The finishes are exactly the same. You get a lot of matte shades, 2 shimmery shades, and one with a satin finish. And honestly, I'm gonna include now the swatches of these shades. As you can see, everything looks exactly the same tone and exactly the same finish. I could honestly not tear them apart. In today's look, I obviously created one of these eyes using the dupe palette, and I don't think you can tell which one it is. I think this is honestly the best dupe out there for the Anastasia Beverly Hills Modern Renaissance palette. It was just as easy, just as effortless, just as easy to blend and build up as the Anastasia palette. I did get a little bit more fallout than I did on the Modern Renaissance side, but I mean, for the price difference, you cannot be angry with this palette for that little bit of fallout. Anyhow, the amount of fallout I got was very unusual for a drugstore price palette. It was a lot less than most of the W7 or Makeup Revolution palettes would give you. So that's a huge plus for this palette. I absolutely love it. I think it looks gorgeous. So without further ado, I'm gonna jump right into showing you how I created this eye makeup look, and you will see yourself how good this palette is. Once the makeup is done, we're gonna jump right back here and I will tell you what I think about these two palettes. As usual, I already primed my eyes, and I'm going to be using the more expensive palette on this side of the face, which is today going to be the Anastasia Beverly Hills Modern Renaissance palette, and the more affordable palette on this side of the face, which is today going to be the Bad Habit Royals palette. So I already created a lot of burgundy and purplish eye makeup look using this palette. Today I want to do something different, so we're going to be focusing on the orange shades. To start with, I'm going to take the shade Burnt Orange, and I'm going to basically just start applying that to the crease. And I'm also going to bring this down onto the eyes, because this is going to be the shade that we're using under the eyes. I know a lot of people like to do the under eyes later, but I honestly see no reason why you need to do it after the lid is done, unless you are using shadow shields and that area is covered up. So yeah, I'm gonna apply it to my crease and under the eyes as well. And that's how we're looking so far. On the Royals side, this shade is called Air, and I'm just gonna repeat the same thing, basically add some of it to the crease and then bring it down under the eyes. The pigmentation of this shade seems to be really good, which is very rare for a drugstore price eyeshadow palette, and it also seems to be quite buildable and blendable. It does look a little bit more yellow maybe, but other than that it looks really good so far. I'm gonna start darkening up the outer corner using the shade Realgar. This is gonna be a really simple eye makeup look. It's just gonna be a very basic half cut crease. God, I still love this Modern Renaissance palette so much. I feel like every single time I use it, it's exactly doing what I want it to do. On the Royals side, this shade is called Monarch, and I'm gonna take some of it and let's hope that it's not gonna fall all over the face. I do have a little bit of fallout, but I also have amazing pigmentation. I'm gonna just try to tap it on to avoid fallout. Wow, okay, this looks amazing so far. I'm gonna very quickly blend out this dark shade a little, at least just the top of it. And before we would go any further, I'm gonna go off camera very quickly and prepare the half cut crease. Alright, so as you can see, the half cut crease is ready. We're gonna start applying the shades on top of the concealer now. First, I'm gonna take some of the shade Primavera and start setting the inner corner of the cut crease. And then I'm gonna take some of the shade Burnt Orange again, because we want a transitioning shade between Realgar and Primavera. And I know that right now this looks really dark, but we're gonna go back with Primavera on top of it. I basically just wanted a darker base for the shimmery shade here to basically help it transition into the dark color. Obviously it's not finished yet, but before I would go any further, I'm gonna jump into the other side as well and just do the same steps we completed already. So the more golden shimmery shade on this side is called Crown. So I'm gonna take some of Crown and start applying it to the inner corner. Wow, Crown is absolutely stunning. And I almost feel like it's more shiny than the original one. It's just as good, if not better. So on this side, we're gonna take some of Air to darken up the center of the lid. And then go back with some of Crown on top of this now darker area. I'm not really getting any fallout on either of the sides, even though I haven't been working with the dark shades that much yet, but I feel like they're really just as good as each other so far. Now I'm gonna take a really tiny brush and I'm gonna jump back into Burnt Orange again and basically just sharpen up this line around the cut crease to emphasize it a bit more. And once again, this shade is called Air in the Royals palette. They are looking absolutely identical so far. I'm very impressed. I'm gonna take some of Realgar again just to darken up the outer corner with this orange shade, and then with a very small brush we're gonna take one more shade, a really dark color, and that's it. Once again, this shade is called Monarch on the Royals side, and I have been getting some fallout from this shade, so I'm gonna need to try to be very careful here. And I'm taking this Precise shader brush, which is another brush with a very tiny head, and I'm gonna use this to apply the very dark shade in the outer corner, and that dark shade is going to be Cypress Umber. And once I applied it, I'm taking my blending brush and I'm kind of just dissolving it. And then without taking any more product, I'm just gonna finish applying what's on my brush already. Alright, so that's the Anastasia Beverly side completed. Now we're gonna jump back to the Bad Habit side and finish that one as well. So Cypress Umber in this palette is called Grand. And I'm gonna take some of it on the same small brush. Okay, I'm getting fallout already. God damn. I'm very interested to see if this is going to blend away when I'm trying to blend it. It definitely blends easier than Cypress Umber, and that's something I do love and hate about Cypress Umber. But when you apply it somewhere, it's there, and that can be really annoying if you made a mistake and you're trying to remove it from somewhere, because it really doesn't want to move. And it's a little bit harder to blend as well than other shades are, because it simply doesn't want to let you blend it. So it's a gorgeous shade if you're looking for something to create a line with or artwork, but if you want to apply it somewhere and then blend it out in the surrounding area, you're gonna have a really hard job to do that. Okay, so now that I went back with a bit more, I am definitely getting fallout on the bad habit side, but other than the fallout, it's looking really good. It does blend easier than the original side, but it doesn't just blend away at all. Alright, so that's both sides done. I wouldn't be able to tell for my life which side is done with which palette, which is very rare and absolutely amazing. I'm gonna go off camera now. I'm gonna finish my makeup look, and then I'm gonna be back to show you the final results and tell you my final thoughts. Alright, so this is the finished makeup look. Honestly, I don't think anyone on this planet could tell that I'm wearing two different eyeshadow palettes. They look absolutely identical. So without hesitation, I'm just gonna go on and call this the best dupe available out there for the Anastasia Beverly Hills Modern Renaissance palette. It's such a bummer that they went out of business and there's such a limited amount of stock available anymore, because I feel like everyone who ever wanted to pick up the Modern Renaissance palette, and why wouldn't you? The color story is amazing. But there are a lot of people who can't afford that kind of money, which is completely understandable, because even though it's Anastasia's most affordable palette, it is still £43, which is a lot of money, and the Royals palette is just so much more affordable. So it's such a bummer that you just can't go and pick it up anymore from their website. But nevertheless, it's an amazing dupe, so if you find it somewhere, definitely pick it up. You're not gonna regret it. It's just so perfect. Like, you literally get the same thing you would from the original. I feel like nowadays UCamB is getting there and they are putting out better eyeshadow palettes than the original, but they didn't really perform as amazing with those very first eyeshadow palettes yet. I'm not saying they are bad by any means, but they are definitely not as good as these ones. Big thumbs up to Bad Habit for giving us this amazing eyeshadow palette. I have already done a video reviewing the Huda Beauty Desert Dusk palette dupe from Bad Habit, which was called Aphrodite. They have a couple more, so if you have a look online for Bad Habit palettes, you will see that they have a couple more available. I will try to pick up the other Anastasia Beverly Hills dupes from them in the future, but it's been a year at this point since they went out of business, so the available stock is getting sold very quickly. So I might be able to do a review of those palettes or might not. I'm still hoping that they're gonna come back and give us some more of these beautiful eyeshadow palettes in the future, and I could not recommend you this palette any more than I do. So if you find it, definitely pick it up because it's beautiful. That's it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, because I would love to have you here. And until next time, take care of yourself. I will see you very soon. Bye.